I'm going to ask something that I've asked you many times, but since you're only the moderator, it won't be a duplication. Why is it in all these tax discussions of the different types of tax reform, flat tax, fair tax, value-added tax, essentially all consumption taxes, why is it we never consider taxing the undeveloped value of the land, which goes back to Henry George? This type of tax is far superior to any consumption tax, which will distorts how much purchases, whereas the income tax distorts investment. But my question is, why not talk about this kind of taxation? This
All right.
as a
Well, okay, instead of replacing the income tax with a flat tax or a national sales tax, what about a property tax? You can't.
not a property
Taxes on
tax.
work. Well, I realize that you have a specific form of it, but taxes on work discourage work. Taxes on consumption discourage consumption, but land doesn't go away if you tax it.
The problem with that proposal on a federal basis is it's probably a direct tax, and the federal government is not allowed to institute a direct tax. Any type of a tax like that would be okay on a state basis, but not a federal basis.
I worry sometimes about these discussions about a new or different tax because it's along the lines of the discussion they have in Utah about how we're going to execute you before you decide that you're going to execute somebody. How would you like to be taxed? When they're trying to sell you something, salesmen are told, well, do you want this in green or red? As opposed to, do you want it? Okay. What kind of tax do you want? I'm a little worried that 999, remember that discussion a while ago? We're going to have sort of 3 taxes instead of 2. I think that all taxes historically are raised to the breaking point. They're raised to the point where political careers are broken. So a property tax at the local level goes up until the mayor loses his job and then they sort of pull it down a bit. The sales tax goes up until somebody gets mad at a governor or a legislator, and then it goes down just under that cause a revolution line. And the income tax does the same. So the more taxes you have out there, the higher taxes will be. That's why states like New Hampshire, without a broad-based sales tax or broad-based income tax, they have very high property taxes, but the overall tax is lower. I would argue, in addition, for low taxes, for few, it's easier to keep an eye on them. And, the idea that you have 2 taxes, this is how we got New Jersey. New Jersey in 1965 didn't have a sales tax, didn't have an income tax, right? Good old days.
My suggestion was to replace the current taxes with this, not to add on an additional thing.
Right, but when you have the conversation about, we have this tax, how about this instead? Our friends on the left are hard of hearing. The instead part, they don't hear, okay? And they say, thank you very much for agreeing to add this to the other, and then they're off to the races. It's just they've done this again and again. New Jersey had very high property taxes. We'll fix that. We'll have the sales tax to get the property taxes down. Then they had very high property taxes and very high sales taxes. And in 76, 77, they added an income tax because the property tax was so high. Now they have an income tax, a sales tax, and a property tax. If you have a tapeworm, you don't swallow another 2 tapeworms on the theory that this would discipline the first one to be less annoying. All 3 tapeworms will keep growing.